The Inman family seemed like the perfect family from the outside. Every Sunday, they would all attend church services together, demonstrating their piety and unity to those around them. However, none of their close acquaintances had any idea about the secrets hidden behind the closed doors of their home. The fateful meeting of William and Sandra Inman took place at church in 1983. At that time, William was 18 and Sandra was only 16. Despite their young age, the couple in love received their parents' blessing and got married. The newlyweds settled in the small town of Logan, in Hocking County, Ohio. Bill Inman, a deeply religious man, made a living as a construction worker and played musical instruments at the local evangelical Church of the Tabernacle of Faith, located in nearby Nelsonville. Sandra dedicated herself to homemaking. A year after the wedding, in 1984, the couple had their firstborn, a son, William Jr. To avoid confusion due to the father and son having the same name, the head of the family started being called Bill, while the boy was called Will. Time passed, and Will grew up. In 2001, when the young man turned 17, he met a 15-year-old girl named Summer Cook at church. Their meeting resembled the story of Will's parents' acquaintance. The young couple dated for 3 years, and when Summer reached adulthood in 2004, they got married. The newly formed family settled into the spacious house of Will's parents in Logan. That same year in 2004, 39-year-old Bill Inman decided he had a calling to be a religious leader. He converted his garage into a makeshift church and started holding services there. Although the locals did not fully approve of the self-proclaimed pastor's activities, his garage started attracting neighbors at first, and later their acquaintances. People came to pray, calm their souls, and leave donations. In 2005, the young couple Will and Summer had a son, Alex. At that time, the financial situation of the Inman family worsened. The income from Bill's church activities was small. So the family decided to try their luck in another state. In 2006, the Inmans moved to Florida. Bill and Will quickly found work in hotel construction. Sandra and Summer took care of the house and looked after little Alex. However, after just 2 years, the Inmans returned to their native Ohio. Unfortunately, during their absence, they had lost their house in Logan due to missed payments. They had to rent a place in the rural area of Vinton. Almost immediately after returning, in 2008, Summer gave birth to a daughter, Kaylee. And 2 years later, the couple had a third child, a girl named Alana. Will and Summer, as young parents, tried to get out of the house on weekends to rest and have some fun. Bill and Sandra always supported them in this. On free days, the grandparents happily looked after their 3 grandchildren, who had become the center of their lives. In the spring of 2010, Bill Inman officially received his pastor's license and proclaimed himself the head of the Tabernacle of Faith Church. Together with his wife, he founded the nonprofit organization Ranch of Mercy. Bill set a goal to help people who had lost their jobs and homes. He dreamed of building a large house with his own hands where orphans and widows could find shelter. However, the Inmans had absolutely no funds to realize this idea. Then it occurred to Bill to hold a lottery. Anyone could buy a ticket, and the money raised would be used to build a house. At the end, a drawing was planned where one lucky person would get the newly built home or $200,000. Bill Inman also promised to raffle off 99 other valuable prizes. The locals learned about the lottery from the news and advertising. At first, Bill himself went door to door, urging people to participate and buy tickets. He talked about wonderful prizes and assured that the rest of the money raised would be used to build a shelter for the needy. The cost of one lottery ticket was $10. As a result, Inman managed to sell 100,000 tickets and raise $1 million for the construction of the house. The prize drawing was scheduled for September 2010. But while things were going well at Ranch of Mercy, not everything was so cloudless in the Inmans' personal life. In June 2010, Summer confessed to her husband Will that after 6 years of married life, she wanted a divorce. Shortly before that, she made the following entry in her diary: "I'm so tired of pleasing everyone, I'm exhausted. Don't I have a right to happiness? Don't I deserve to feel love in return? I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about this now, but I want to tell Will the whole truth. I feel terrible. I think he needs to know. He needs to hear that I don't want to be with him anymore. I want to be alone, find myself, understand who I really am. Right now I'm just a slave who only runs and carries out orders. I love my children with all my heart. I wouldn't trade them for anything. But I don't want them to grow up seeing their mom blindly obeying commands. I don't know how Will react to this. Maybe he'll get angry, try to take the kids or run away. Maybe he'll start threatening me, try to hurt me or something like that. I think we should spend equal time with the kids. I know Will's parents will be against it and will beg me to stay. But I understand that it won't change anything. Last night Will asked what I want, and I didn't know what to answer. I only know what I definitely don't want. I don't want to be unhappy, to feel trapped. But I couldn't tell him that. So I just kept silent. Every day I just want to cry and sleep. Nothing more. I just don't know how to get out of this situation to make everything okay. I hope that the next time I write, I'll already know how to fix everything." Summer officially filed for divorce and left the Inman's house, taking her son, 2 daughters and personal belongings with her. They moved in with her parents. Summer did not intend to deprive the children of their father. She did not interfere with their communication with their dad, grandmother and grandfather. 2 months after breaking up with her husband, in August 2010, Summer Inman started a relationship with a man named Adam Peters. At the same time, she got a job as a cleaner at a bank in downtown Logan, as she had no special education. September came, and the long-awaited drawing of the house from the Inmans' Ranch of Mercy was about to take place. But, as it turned out, the construction of the coveted prize house had not even begun. September passed, and then October, but no progress was observed. The prize drawing never took place, no reasons were given. Ranch of Mercy was in no hurry to return people's money. On December 1, 2010, the Inmans received a notice to vacate their rented house due to accumulated rent debts. Upon hearing this, Summer, along with her new partner Adam, went to the Inman's house, intending to pick up the rest of her personal belongings. However, they were met with locked doors at the threshold. Neither the woman nor her companion were allowed inside. Summer didn't lose her head and called the police, reporting that the man she was divorcing would not let her pick up her things and was threatening her. When law enforcement arrived, Will and his parents continued to not let anyone into the house. Will stated that he would shoot Adam, and then got into a fight with one of the officers. Summer filed a complaint against her husband. The woman said that before the marriage, their relationship with Will had been ideal. But after the official wedding, he changed abruptly and began to constantly control her, making demands. He told her what to do and when to do it. This included food, household chores, and intimacy. Summer could not go to bed without her husband's permission. He effectively kept her under house arrest, not allowing her to go outside. He hid her cell phones and keys. Summer admitted that Will wanted her to give birth to 12 children. He dreamed of a second wife and frequently visited sites for polygamous families, posting his explicit photos there. Summer reported that Will threatened to kill her if she divorced him. He also took her kittens and drove off in an unknown direction, and then said they had just jumped out the open window and run away. Will laughed, saying she would never see them again. In response to his wife's accusations, Will tried to justify himself. According to him, he took away her phones and keys because he felt that Summer had a lover. As for the kittens, they were allegedly wild, scratching the furniture and all family members, so he simply took them to a shelter. In the end, Will Inman was issued a restraining order prohibiting him from approaching Summer. In addition, he was fined and put on probation. Meanwhile, a fierce custody battle broke out between the two families. The Inmans went to the police with a statement claiming that Adam Peters was a dangerous person and could harm Alex, Kaylee and Alana. And indeed, something terrible happened in Summer's life. Late in the evening of March 22, 2011, the 25-year-old woman was finishing her work shift at the bank. After closing the branch, she cleaned up her colleagues' workplaces and went outside to take out the trash. The clock showed 11 p.m. Summer sent a message to her husband Adam Peters, whom she had agreed to meet after work, but Adam never saw his beloved again. At 11:30 at night, a worried Adam headed to the bank where Summer worked. Looking around the building, he noticed her personal belongings scattered on the ground near the dumpster, her phone, keys, a running player with headphones. A little further, in the grass, lay her jacket. Adam immediately called the woman's parents, reporting her disappearance and asking them to urgently call the police. At first, the parents contacted the bank, asking about their daughter Summer Inman, an employee of the institution. They suggested that perhaps she had simply stayed late at work cleaning and lost her phone and personal belongings. But bank security had no information about the woman's whereabouts. Then the parents called the Logan Police Department and reported their daughter missing. They said that Summer had a clear work schedule and rarely stayed overtime. Law enforcement officers arrived at the scene where Summer's personal belongings were found. 3 witnesses were already waiting there who had seen the woman being abducted an hour ago. 2 witnesses who were out for an evening jog at the time said that Summer had gone out to take out the trash, and at that moment a white Ford Crown Victoria pulled up next to her. A blonde woman was driving, and 2 men in black balaclavas jumped out of the car. They grabbed Summer and forcibly pushed her into the back seat of the vehicle. The woman resisted, screaming, begging for help. One passerby rushed to rescue Summer, but the female driver sprayed pepper spray in his face, and he retreated. The car quickly disappeared from the scene. The 2 witnesses ran to the nearest police station and reported the abduction. However, for some reason, law enforcement officers treated these women with suspicion, deciding that they had made up this story for fun. The police arrived at the scene of Summer's abduction only an hour after her parents' report. Unfortunately, they could not find the missing woman while the trail was still hot. News of the abduction of 25-year-old Summer Inman spread like lightning through local media. Hundreds of concerned Logan residents rallied to help search for the missing woman. 3 days passed, and hope of finding her alive and unharmed was fading. Summer's parents tried to dismiss the worst thoughts. A few weeks before her disappearance, Summer Inman posted a joint photo with her new lover Adam, son and daughters on her Facebook page. In this picture, they looked like a happy family. Will Inman got the same impression when he saw the post on Adam Peters' page, who for some reason was still listed as a friend on his social media. A logical question may arise: why would Will be friends on Facebook with his legal wife's lover? The thing is, Summer met Adam before she decided to leave her husband. A year before that, in the spring of 2010, Adam Peters, who had no permanent job and earned occasional odd jobs, got a job with the Inman family to take care of their house and yard. It was there that he first saw Summer and fell in love with her. Adam began showing the woman signs of attention, and at first she rejected them, but then gave in. In Summer's diary, we find the following entry: "When I looked into his eyes, I realized that he had taken possession of me. I did not listen to God's voice. I tried to stop. My mind screamed, 'Run, get out of here right now.' But instead, I stayed and let him hug me, and then dive in head first. I'm so sorry about that. It's my fault." Meeting Adam became a turning point for Summer in her life with the Inman family. Realizing that she deserved happiness and love, the woman initiated a divorce that dragged on for long months. Just 5 days before her disappearance, Summer learned that Will had filed an objection to the amount of child support he had to pay for each child. He asked to reduce the payments from $150 to $50 per month, citing his meager annual income of $6,000, which was about $500 per month. Will, along with his parents, tried to get sole custody of his son and daughters, but the court rejected their petition. Bill and Sandra noticeably lost weight and aged after the breakup with their grandchildren, who, according to their acquaintances, were the meaning of life for the couple. In March 2011, shortly after Summer's disappearance, the Inman family was found in the home of Bill's 70-year-old mother in Jackson County, Ohio. To all questions, Bill, Sandra and Will repeated in one voice that they knew nothing about Summer's abduction. They claimed that on that fateful night, they had gone to Cleveland to look at a house they planned to buy. Allegedly, after 3 hours of driving, their car broke down, so they had to spend the whole night on the side of the road repairing the car and only returned to Logan in the morning. The Inmans insisted that they had quite a decent relationship with Summer and rarely quarreled. But ever since Adam Peters appeared in their house, a dark period began in the family's life. All three characterized Adam as a bad person who had destroyed their once happy, faith-devoted and friendly family. The attention of the police was drawn to a white Ford Crown Victoria parked in the yard of the Inman's house. During the inspection of the car, a GPS navigator was seized. A further check showed that on the day of March 22, when Summer's abduction took place, the car was in Logan. At 5:30 p.m., the GPS system was turned off, and it was turned on again only the next morning, March 23, also in Logan. No evidence of the Inman's trip to Cleveland could be found. An analysis of phone calls also confirmed that on March 22 to 23, all three family members were in their hometown. It soon became clear that at 7:30 a.m. on March 23, the Inmans visited a car wash, where they ordered a full cleaning of their car interior. Only Bill, Sandra and Will were present at the car wash. Summer was not with them. From there, the family went to a car repair shop in Cleveland to replace the tires. The worker recalled that he was surprised by Bill's desire to replace almost new tires with old ones, because, according to Inman, he simply didn't like them. It also became known that the family tried to change the appearance of the car. In particular, Bill removed a police spotlight previously installed on the driver's side door near the side mirror. Bill, Sandra and Will Inman were detained and interrogated. Before his arrest, Bill managed to tell his elderly mother that they were not guilty of anything, and that all this was a test sent by God. During the interrogations, each of the three suspects continued to insist on their non-involvement in Summer's disappearance and claimed that they had no idea who could have abducted her and for what purpose. A few hours passed, and Sandra Inman, realizing that all three of them faced the death penalty if proven guilty, surrendered and confessed to the deed. According to her, it was they who kidnapped Summer on that fateful night of March 22. The two men in black masks turned out to be her husband Bill and son Will. Sandra insisted that the idea to kidnap and frighten Summer was entirely hers, but everything went wrong. When Summer was forcibly pushed into the back seat of the car, Will simply wanted to put plastic ties on his wife's neck, hands, and feet so that she would get scared and agree to his meetings with the children. At some point, Will noticed that Summer was fainting and tried to cut the ties with a knife to free her. "God, Mom, where's the knife? I can't find it," he shouted to his mother. Filled with fear, all three rushed to search for the knife, but only a few seconds passed, and Summer stopped breathing. She died. Sandra claimed that they did not intend to kill their daughter-in-law, but only wanted to solve the problem of custody of their grandchildren in this way and get permission to see them on weekends. On March 29, 2011, a week after the abduction, Sandra Inman indicated the place where Summer's body was hidden. It was found at the bottom of a dug pit well on the territory of the Tabernacle of Faith Church, 30 kilometers from the bank where the deceased worked. This church is located near Nelsonville, and Bill Inman himself once took part in its construction. It was there, 28 years ago, that he and Sandra got married. For many years, every Sunday, the Inman family attended services at the Tabernacle of Faith, where Bill played musical instruments. When the police officers moved the concrete slab, unscrewed the 6 bolts holding the metal lid, and looked into the well, Summer's legs immediately caught their eyes. The woman had simply been thrown into the pit head down. She was still wearing the same clothes as on her last day of work at the bank. The black t-shirt had the inscription, "I don't have an anger problem, I have an idiot problem." The autopsy showed that Summer was indeed strangled. There were no other injuries on her body, except for traces of ties on her neck, hands, and feet, indisputable evidence that the woman had been tied up. Sandra said that at first she had planned to throw her daughter-in-law's body into the river, but then decided that it would be safer to hide it in the church well, where no one would definitely find it. The woman admitted that she was unbearably ashamed of her terrible deed. The trial took place soon after. 49-year-old Bill and 28-year-old Will Inman did not admit their guilt in Summer's murder. Throughout the hearings, they hardly spoke, showed no emotions, and avoided looking into the eyes of the victim's parents. Only 47-year-old Sandra Inman pleaded guilty and tried to take all the responsibility upon herself. She did not renounce her previous testimony, insisting that it was her idea to frighten her daughter-in-law. Before the verdict was announced, Sandra turned to Summer's parents in tears, begging for forgiveness. It was difficult to make out the words through the sobs, but the woman sincerely repented. She admitted that she loved Summer like her own daughter, and if she could turn back time, she would never have done such a terrible thing. In 2012, Bill, Sandra, and Will Inman were found guilty. Bill and Will received life sentences without the right to early release. Sandra was sentenced to life imprisonment with the right to parole after 15 years. All close friends and parishioners of the church knew that a strict patriarchy reigned in the Inman family. No one believed that Sandra could have been the initiator of the crime. Everyone knew that the head of the family and the person who always had the last word was Bill. As for Will, he was talked about as a boy who had been spoiled since childhood, whose whims were unquestioningly fulfilled by his parents. People assumed that Sandra tried her best to take the blame upon herself in order to mitigate the punishment for her husband and son. Alex, Kaylee, and Alana still live with the parents of the deceased Summer. They had to make a lot of effort to explain to their grandchildren where their biological mother, father, grandmother, and grandfather had suddenly gone. Thank you for watching this story. Write your thoughts about it in the comments. Don't miss the future videos, subscribe and like the channel. Take care of yourself and people you love.